A man on the street searches for a prostitute, and when he finds one, he threatens her with a razor blade. Derek Bliss steps in and points an odd-looking gun at his left temple. The man backs away, and the prostitute thanks Derek and asks if she can do anything for him. He shoots her with 3 sticks, as she was a vampire. Derek drags her to an abandoned car lot and watches the body catch fire in the sunlight while filming it on camera. When he gets back to his hotel room, the Van Helsing group leader calls him and informs him that they have a job down in Mexico from an anonymous client. He then goes down to Mexico alone and soon reached the monastery where he was searched thoroughly because the one that were staying in that monastery was not just an ordinary priest but a group of vampire hunting priests. He then finds out that the priest that he is supposed to meet there is already dead. During their dinner, he has a strange vision, and one of the priests concludes that the vampires may be linking up with him. On that same night, Una, a vampire princess, and her fledglings attack and feed upon a man. The next day, Derek has been handed a list of vampire hunter that could help him on his mission. He then goes looking for people on a list he has been given. When he reaches the first hunter, it's already been killed by what it looks like a vampire's doing. He then proceeded in the second hunter but unfortunately, he was too late and also the third hunter is already dead too. While looking at the body of the third hunter, a kid runs towards them and said he saw who did it, that they run into the church. Derek suggested that they wait until the sun comes out. As soon as the sun rises, Derek with the persistent kid asking to help him in exchange of $20 to go into the church. They catch one vampire with a rope while he was sleeping and drags him to sunlight, then slashing the head of the second vampire, and the kid thrusting a spear on the third vampire and push him into the sunlight. After the battle, Derek gives the boy his money and tells him to go now. Derek then travels and goes to a coffee shop and asks for a man named Jesse Brooks, and the waitress calls the man from the kitchen. He then tells Derek to wait while he finishes up something. Derek then meets a young woman named Zoe, and he grows suspicious when she asks him if he works in the in-death business. He stands up and goes to the bathroom, and finds out that Zoe is a vampire by using a special lens for she was cold, lamenting the fact as he thinks she's cute. In the split second it takes him to throw a paper towel in the trash, Una comes in, slashes the throats and killing everyone in the cafe except for Zoe, and go to kitchen to kidnap Jesse. When Derek comes out of the bathroom and sees that Zoe was not around, he concludes that she must have done it. He then goes out of the cafe and drives away. The next day, he pulls over when he sees Zoe on the side of the road in daylight. He points a gun at her but Zoe tells him that she has nothing to do with killing at the cafe, and she said about the special pills she takes to fight off her vampire side for a year because she got bit accidentally by a vampire during a one-night stand. She then said she has a vision of a priest massacred by Una on a monastery, and Derek realizes that it is the one where he just left. They drive back and find the slaughtered body of all priests killed by the vampires stacked in the fountain, and then suddenly one survivor priest came. Father Rodrigo tells them that Una is seeking the legendary Béziers Cross, the same cross used unsuccessfully to perform a ritual many years ago that will enable vampires to walk in daylight and be invulnerable. Rodrigo then shows them something a fellow priest was working on in his spare time. A huge van completes with all the necessary vampire slaying tools. Derek suddenly hears a noise in the trees. He then sneaks and finds a teenager that he had met before. His then said his name is Sancho, and he has a permission slip from his mother, stating he can go on the vampire hunt with Derek. Derek has been advised by his contact that he sends him money that he could use on his mission, and also said he found another hunter to help him and he is on the way to Mexico. The group waits at the bus stop to meet up with another hunter, but none from the bus with the description of the hunter came out. Derek with his special lens saw that one of the passengers is a vampire, so he followed and confronted him. And when the vampire attacks, the hunter they were waiting shot him with his shotgun with a special bullet. He introduces himself as Ray Collins from Memphis. As they were traveling, Zoe suddenly had a vision that the attempt of Una of the ritual failed and she killed the cook and the priest that she kidnaps that she thinks is useful in the ritual. They stopped at a town for a while and Zoe pointed out in the map the possible location of lair of the vampires, then they drove out. Zoe told Derek more about the pills during the trip, that she still has enough for 2 months and are having visions of Una. Derek asked her if Una bites her. Zoe said Una tried to bite her on the cafe but she stops after she tasted her blood. As they stop for a night, Una silently stalked the van and saw Zoe takes the pills. She then proceeds to seduces Ray, disguises as a homeless woman, and bites him in between his legs, turning him slowly into a vampire. When they stop for a gas, someone leaves Zoe's pills where Una took afterwards. As they were about to reach the village, they stopped for a while to where they think the vampires are hiding. They then proceed to the village and are welcomed by an old villager saying that today is a Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead and that he knew them, that he said he met them in his dream, that they are the one that will kill the vampires. Una consumes all the pills of Zoe and she now is able to walk in daylight. She then proceeds to goes out to town to track them. Zoe now, without the pills, is drawn to Derek's blood but he notices it and pulled his arm. Una suddenly came and attacks them. Zoe runs during the commotion and Derek with the help of Ray try to fight but Una ignores them and runs after Zoe. She successfully got Zoe and took her in their lair. Then Rodrigo came and they wondered how the vampire walks during daytime and they concluded that the missing pills has to do with it. The group then hastily move out to the place where Una could have brought Zoe. As they prepare to enter one of the lairs, Derek aims the gun at everyone and said that Zoe was too careful of her pills and one of them must have given the pills to Una. On all of them Sancho has the weakest alibi why he was with them. As Derek got Sancho at gunpoint, Ray tried to draw his gun but an old villager came and shot Ray with arrow before Derek shoots Sancho, and he said that he saw Ray did it in his dream. Dying Ray exposes that Una knows that they are coming because she is the client who hired them. The group then go after Zoe to rescue her, fighting their way with some vampires, shooting and dragging them at sunlight that it burns their body. They got separated when Derek go to save Zoe. Una takes advantage of this situation sneaking behind Sancho but Rodrigo sees her and shot her with his crossbow but it barely hurt her, then she attacks Rodrigo, then Sancho. Then the villager shots her with his bow but she catches the arrow and attacks him. She then goes to attack Derek and before he could kill him Rodrigo shouts at her saying he could do the ritual she wants in exchange of the group's safety. With Zoe's situation getting worse at the village's clinic, Derek walks toward her and decided to kill her. But the nurse asks not to, because she said they could suppress her vampire side for a time. The method is giving her human blood through her vein directly and pumping out some of her vampire blood. After seeing the effect on Zoe, Derek decided, to be able to save Rodrigo, pump some of vampire blood from Zoe into his body and this gives him some of vampire's ability. The team then goes after Rodrigo. Right when they arrive, the ritual is almost over. After the ritual, Una finds out that Rodrigo was not a real priest. Una is not daunted, and she responds by lighting a fire beneath his feet. Derek then came out of hiding and starts shooting the vampires. He hit Una in her arms but she manages to escape. He then goes to shot and kill the other vampire and then releases Rodrigo from the rope he is tied from. He then asks Sancho and Rodrigo to hide to safety for he will confront Una. Then Derek goes after Una, alone. In the chamber where Una could be hiding, he puts his gun down, taunting and lure her to go out of hiding. When Una jump at him, he stabs him with the spear and tied it with the cable attached to a winch with Zoe in the control, but luck was not on their side because the cable stuck and snaps and Una escapes. They regroup and made another plan. They enter the lair again and search for Una and with the help of Derek's special lens, they see the cold body behind the sarcophagus. They carefully approach the sarcophagus. They then realize that it's a trap. They tried to run but Una jumps at Derek and catches him. Rodrigo shots and hit her with his crossbow and Sancho throws the rope on her and pulling her. Zoe then runs to the car and started dragging the rope with Una in it to sunlight. Derek was still on Una's grasp, but as they reach the sunlight, Derek shoots her head off with a shotgun and sends it flying into the sun, where it catches fire. Her body turns into stone with a black beating heart in the chest and Derek drives a stick into the heart. Sancho and Rodrigo decide to stay in the village for a while as they see the need of the village of their help. At the end of the movie we see Derek and Zoe drive away in the beautiful sunset. Please leave a comment below about the movie. Click like, subscribe and notification for more video like this. Until next time.